In this video, we're going to be reviewing the NAKTO 750W Super Cruiser, and I gotta say, this bike took me by surprise. You're gonna see, it is a little big for me, and at 750 watts for a $14.99 price, I honestly thought this bike would probably be sacrificing some higher end performance for keeping that price down that low, but I was pleasantly surprised at how it performed. I even took it up this hill that I, wouldn't take up some of my smaller bikes actually up there, to be honest. I was just having so much fun with it, I thought I'd just give it a shot. So anyway, take a look at this video. We're going to be doing an unboxing, we're going to be doing riding, we're going to do a full spec review, and you're going to see that this bike actually is a great price for what you're going to get in this. So let's get started. Alright, this is the NAKTO Super Cruiser 750 unboxing, and as you can see right from the start, I decided to cut the box open on the front to slide the bike out of the box. It was just too heavy for me to lift. I then proceeded to immediately put in flat out tire sealant to make sure that I don't get any flats while riding this bike. Then I needed to go ahead and put it on a stand in order for me to get the flat out tire sealant into the back tire as well. And I do this with all of my bikes. I just don't want to get a flat, so putting the flat out tire sealant is a great insurance for me to make sure that I don't get any problems with it. Once that was put on, I took it off the stand and put the front wheel onto the fork, had that all put together. Then with this bike, you do need to assemble the handlebar assembly. And this is where I would say that if you do have a ability to take this to a bike shop to get done, I would highly recommend paying somebody who might be a professional to make sure that they're doing everything properly put on it. There's a lot to put on for this particular bike, but well worth it once it's all put together. The fender, I had a little bit of problems putting it on the wrong way first, so you do see me spending a little more time to get that adjusted and fixed up. At this point, I was ready to attach the display screen to the handlebars and adjust the handlebars to straighten everything out. I made sure that the brakes and the fender were still straightened as well. I did have a little bit of brake rub going on, so I took some time to adjust that. Then I went toward the back of the bike after setting up the headlights, made sure that the motor was running, then put in the seat post and adjusted the clamp to make sure it was really tight as well. I unwrapped the bike and we were ready to go. Okay, in this portion of the specs, I wanted to go ahead and point out that this bike is really made for someone a little taller than 5'5". As you can see, these pictures here, they do have that high crossbar that's kind of uncomfortable, I guess, for someone my size if I put my legs down. But as you can see in this video footage right at this point, going up a hill, I actually have no problem riding this bike, and I found it very comfortable to be able to, pedal, stand up and go up hills that I needed to go up to. And there's a lot of power, or enough to go ahead and pull this 85-pound bike along with me up a hill like this. The trail that I'm actually riding up and down on is really only about maybe a foot wide before a tire would go into a crack that was formed due to the rains that were in our area recently. So I had to kind of be careful to make sure that I kept momentum so I can keep my balance going straight. And that's why you see me going up and down, but I wanted to show how it looked like when I was riding. So what we have here is 26-inch by 4-inch fat tire bikes with these beautiful orange dots in the rim that really pop to make a little add a little color to the bike itself. Otherwise it'd be just black and white. I really do like the way that those orange dots show through the rims there. And as we look at the back of the bike here, there's this long fender that's plastic. I did notice that on the pictures on the website that they have there, it's a lot shorter of a fender. It's a plastic fender, but it works great. And then we have our battery here in the center of the bike, which does make it a little longer. But because it's behind the seat, it doesn't really make the reach as, I guess, excessively long. That could be a problem in itself. What you see here in this area is also, I wanted to bring in this kickstand, and it is in the center of the bike because of how big it is, so it does add to some pedal lock And just got to keep that in mind, that you need to put the pedal up if you're going to roll the bike backwards. As we scroll down a little toward the back of the bike here to the gearing, we have a 6-speed Shimano gearing in the back here with a turning derailleur, and it worked out great. It does everything it needs. It's a 14 to 28 tooth in the back. In the front there we have a crank that has 52 tooth crank set in the front. The crank is a little short. It only has a 150mm crank, and that makes it so that you have to pedal quite fast. Okay, what you see me doing right here is I'm reaching underneath the seat to go ahead and hit a little blue lever that'll pop up the seat, which will allow me to easily remove the battery. And this is a really cool feature on it. Also, by the way, that seat is really comfortable. I'll talk more about that a little later. But once the seat is popped up, you can easily just unlock the pin by pushing in the key, taking it out, and that'll allow you to just slide the battery out, so you can charge this battery on or off the bike. It works either way. It's a very convenient feature. If you take a look at how the bike looks without the battery, I mean, this is, your standard really cruiser style model, just a little longer for the battery area to be fit in the back there, but very comfortable ride. I really was pleasantly surprised that even at my size, once I saw this bike out of the box, I was kind of shocked at how big it was, and a little worried if I'd be able to fit it, but it's a great design. I mean, I still would recommend somebody maybe taller than me. I'm only 5'5". I'd say probably about 5'7" and above would be something more along that range, especially because of that center bar being so high when you have to dismount the seat and rest at stops. Now, this is what you're seeing here is I have the bike in the off position. You can pull out the key and the battery will stay locked. With the key in the on position, you now have the battery engaged power so that it does send power to the front display. I will be showing you a lot more clearer display features. So what you see me here is holding that bottom button that turns on the display. Now, it is so bright today, and my camera does not like the display, so the frame rate that you're seeing here is actually showing a lot of flickering, but we'll have a little bit of footage here of how clear it really looks without a camera flickering with its frame rate messing it up. Okay, so real briefly, we're back in the garage just to go ahead and show you what the display looks like without the frame rate being all messed up because of the sunlight. So what you see me here doing is I'm going ahead and turning on the bike itself here with the up and down buttons. You can see how the PS levels change from 1 to 5 and then go back down just by hitting the up and down. Very simple control. Holding the top up and down button, you have a very easy menu to adjust a lot of settings, and inside the manual itself it does tell you how to go ahead and adjust these different settings. Now, I did get only a max of 20 miles per hour. I don't know if it can actually go higher to be unlocked to be a higher level, but the max speed I was able to get out of this, even at putting it at the max setting, was 20 miles an hour. So I do believe this is just a class 2 bike. If it does change, it'll be in the description below, but really as a cruiser, that's really all you need. By holding down the up button, you also have your headlight turning on and off, and that's pretty much how simple this bike is. Again, beautiful display, lots of energy bar level ratings so that you have like 10% increments as each of those energy bar levels go down. You have your basic features. As you can see here, you get 2 miles an hour at the walk rate, which is actually a really good rate because sometimes like 6 miles an hour, that's a little too fast for walking. Now going back, here's the headlight. With it being on during the day, it does give a little bit of visibility, but at night, of course, it's a lot better. It won't brighten up the whole road for you when you're driving, but it will give you a good opportunity to be seen by cars that might be coming your way. As you can see, the front fender also we have here, and also the shocks. I don't know how much the travel is on that, but it did a decent job on it. It is not adjustable in itself. We also have a quick release in the front tire here, and 160mm rotors for your disc brakes. These are mechanical zoom disc brakes. Now this is another change from the Shimano that used to be on the 500-watt bike, so just keep that in mind. These zoom brakes worked really well. I did like them as well. It helped you get stopping really quick. I've always had a really good liking to zoom brakes, so I'm glad that they actually have this on here. This battery here is a 48-volt 12-amp-hour battery, which is a little small in my opinion for a 750-watt bike, but that is a 750-watt peak motor that we're looking at right here in the back. Again, also zoom brakes in the back and 160mm rotor for your disc brakes as well. In the back here, we do have a reflector that is part of the fender, which is probably one of the reasons why they have an extended fender, which used to be a shorter one from what I see in the pictures, but now that it's further back, you can have a nice reflector put on there. It is not a light though, it is just a reflector. And this wide saddle, this is what makes it a nice cruiser, is this seat is super comfortable, really soft, and I really did like that as well. Taking a look again at this crank here, I wanted to take note that this is actually a very short crank. So for me, having shorter legs, it does feel really comfortable for me to be able to pedal it. I don't know if you have longer legs, you know, being that it is a cruiser, it'll prevent pedal strike if you're actually turning. So it keeps that higher off the ground, I guess is the best way to put it at its lowest point. I don't know if it's a safety feature or not, but it is adequate. This bike, you're not going to be really pedaling around a lot. More so, it is exactly what it's called, a cruiser. So you sit around, you just kind of cruise around with it, really cool. Now, it does not come with all the accessories that you are seeing here as I scroll across. The Hafni mirror I added on, courtesy of Hafni sending me for this bike review. Also, we have a cell phone holder and a water bottle bag holder that you can both find on the ebikeproducts.com website. Those are my accessories that I add on, plus that little device that you see on the frame. That's actually the GPS tracker. So all the speeds that you saw inside of the ride footage is the actual speed of this bike. That's actually tracking the GPS speed and transmitting it to the camera. You see our shifter there. Shimano shifter is a standard SIS shifter. It's an adequate shifter. I mean, it's made by Shimano. It's a big name brand, and it works to step up and down very nice and smoothly. We also have your brake cutoffs that are the small wires coming out. So as soon as you hit the brakes, your motor will shut off, so you don't have it pushing or fighting against you as well. That's a great feature to have put on there. This bike was a little harder to put together, you saw in the unboxing, because there's a lot of parts to put, but nonetheless, once it's together, it is a solid bike. I really did enjoy it. By the way, the cable management on this is pretty decent. I mean, that it goes down into the tube. I really like that as well, that you don't have it on the outside. So this is the NAKTO Super Cruiser 750 watt. It runs for $12.99 for the 500 watt version and $14.99 for the one that we see here. It is worth the extra $200 in my opinion to have an extra 250 watts. It's a great bike. All in all, I'd say of all of the NAKTO bikes, this is the most expensive and their premium or highest end. NAKTO is known for making some really affordable bikes, and I guess they would call it entry level, but this is not an entry level bike. This is actually one of their premium bikes, and I am pleasantly surprised at how well it performed. And if you're thinking about getting a cruiser style bike, it's great for beach cruising. It's great for other areas where you're going to be riding down the street and on the bike trails. Not a high speed performer. That's not what it's built out to be. It's actually built out so that you can just really sit back, enjoy your ride in a relaxing position, and just cruise around. And if you ever need to go ahead and pump it up a little, it does have the power to do that. As I said, it does go up to 20 miles an hour. On the footage that you see on the ride footage, a lot of the 20 mile an hour footage was going uphill. So all the downhill footage that I had there, I didn't have the tracking on at that time. So you do see that is a true 20 miles an hour, and then I really did like it. And thank you again to NAKTO for sending out this bike for me to review. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for watching these videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.